Why, hello there, how are you today? Awesome Soul here, and it seems like it's been a little while since I've actually said that. Apologies for the skipped day, but I will get into that near the end of the video, or at least in the second half, I guess we can say. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the news. So, on Twitter, Mark is basically giving a quick little update as to what is happening with FreeJam at the moment. Well, they are currently working hard on Reconnect and will not stop until it's done. And best of all, we now have confirmation that they are adding the Undo button, which, much like the Reconnect button, is a massive request within the community. People have been wanting this thing, much like Reconnect, for pretty much ever since the game came out, as far as I'm aware. And by the wording he used when he says, "and not stopping until done," my guess here is that we're not going to be getting another update until they are done both the Reconnect and or Undo buttons. The other thing that kind of goes in with this theory is that they've changed up their release schedule. For quite a while it used to be every other week, but now, as I'm sure you're aware, it's not like that at all. It's more that they release updates now whenever they're ready, which I guess kind of have their pros and cons. I don't know, personally I kind of liked the every other week setup that they had going for a while, but what about you? Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer smaller updates more frequently, or larger, more content-filled updates, but they are a little bit more scarce? Though a little later Mark did respond to somebody kind of clearing something up, which kind of throws the last bit I said into question, so let me read this out for you. We have many people at FreeJam. One guy is working on Reconnect, and it will take a number of weeks. Another guy is working on Undo. So does this mean 1, 2, 3 weeks? Obviously, it's a done when it's done kind of thing. Especially when it comes to coding, you never really know what bugs you're going to run into. But if that is the case, maybe we're not going to be seeing Reconnect in the next update. But as far as buzz on new features from FreeJam goes, we really only know about the Reconnect and now the Undo button. So what exactly are we going to be seeing in the next update? It's a very good question with currently no answer, unfortunately. Moving on from there though, we have another response, and this is to one that I covered in the last video talking about what their new game is going to be like, or at least kind of like. Anyways, somebody is asking what the system requirements are going to be, and Rick, the lead art director, responds with a GIF of the Bat computer, but not a modern day take on the Bat computer. This is probably one from the Adam West series, though I'm not sure. Point is, it's a very old computer, and obviously with it being old, it would be low specs. Or is it more of an actual hint that the game is going to run very well on low-end PCs? Though I do have a sneaking suspicion that the game is not going to run too well on a computer from the 60s, as he's posted here. Next up, we have a new way to pay in Robocraft, and they're simply letting you use Amazon Pay if you want to purchase things in Robocraft. Fairly straightforward bit of news there, but I figured I would cover it anyways. And finally, our community manager, Left of Never, and quality assurance jammer, Josh, are on their way to Paris Games Week. This, as you would guess, is to demo Robocraft Infinity. And they state here that they're going to be tweeting a few things out from the event if you follow at RobocraftInf. That's INF. And also, if you are nearby Paris, I believe the event goes from November 1st to November 6th. So that does it for the news. However, I would like to get into what I talked about at the beginning of the video, and that was why exactly there was a little bit of a gap between the last video and this one. I mean, technically it's only a single video missed, because I do alternate between uploading and then not uploading the next day, and then uploading again, and then not uploading, and then so on and so forth. Well, as I kind of talked about on my Discord channel, I was searching around for Robocraft news and I couldn't really find a huge amount. And unfortunately, that's sort of been the case with Robocraft the past little while. They've been somewhat quiet on the news front, much more than they have been for a fair while now. And I guess it does kind of make sense. They do have their new game that they're working on, as well as the game is now no longer in beta, though they still are updating the game. So it's interesting why they're not really giving us as much information as they used to. But anyways, of course though, with this channel mainly focusing, at least at present, on Robocraft news, it does make it rather rather difficult for me to get videos out if there isn't really a whole lot to talk about. And I have been trying to fill in the gaps by bringing back the old bot review series, and it seems to be doing fairly well. People still enjoy that, although it doesn't have as much of a draw as the news videos do. But still, one of the biggest problems I've had with the bot review series is that eventually it starts to get a little bit samey, as you can only point out so many things without it getting a little bit repetitive. And that kind of also has to do with the mindset I have with the series, and that is I'm kind of treating it as a tutorial as well, kind of giving tips and tricks and general guidelines for people to help improve their robot. It's not just that one robot, it's that if you watch the video, you might learn something about rod forcing, for example, and then you can incorporate that into your own vehicle. But yes, as I was saying, I can't keep doing those forever either, because, you know, there's only so many features in the game, and eventually I'm going to cover all of them, if I haven't almost done so already. But unfortunately, I'm kind of in this awkward waiting period. I say this because if you've been around on the channel for a little while, you know that I've covered drone, and you probably know what drone is. But they too have been fairly quiet on the news front. Almost silent, in fact. Though they have posted some things, such as a live stream they did a little while back, and that was quite enjoyable. However, there's nothing really for me to break down in a video, at least at present. Nor is there a demo, at least yet as well. So, can't really do anything on drone at the moment. And then there's another game that looks fairly interesting, though I don't really want to spoil what it is just yet. Plus, it doesn't exactly seem to have a release date at the moment, so I don't really want to hype you guys up for that. And obviously, with it not being out, I can't cover it on the channel either. And then we come to the game Airman, which I'm sure if you've watched any of Gromek's videos recently, you will know exactly what that game is. And yes, it does seem very, very interesting. However, at present, the player base is pretty small, so really the only way for me to gather footage of that game is to wait for one of their scheduled events over on their Discord channel, which my schedule may or may not be able to fit into. And also because of that, if I did some Airman content, it would be very sporadic. And then over on another front, this is more so related to Twitch and also Pokemon at the same time. As some of you do know, I do have a Pokemon related channel, as I felt that Pokemon content on this channel wouldn't really fit that well. Now, I included Twitch in this because I want to get into Twitch streaming a bit more, especially more than just simply once a week, every weekend. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to kind of mix things up a bit, and I was planning on doing a Nuzlocke run of a Pokemon fan game. If you don't know what a Nuzlocke run is, it's basically a challenge mode. Think of kind of like a speed run, although it's not really a speed run. I make that comparison more so because you're kind of implying your own rules on a game that didn't exist there in the first place. For those not in the know, essentially what a Nuzlocke is that if your Pokemon faints in the game, it's considered dead forever. So all the work you put into training a Pokemon then goes out the door if you're not careful. So you have to be really prepared for this thing. And on top of that, the fan game is also naturally very difficult. So what I was thinking is kind of imposing my own special twist. It's kind of a variant of the Nuzlocke run that I've been kind of working on in the background for a little while now. And I think it will be very fun. Even if you don't enjoy Pokemon, you would probably still enjoy the live stream just for the whole community involvement and also the challenge of it. Also, what's cool about it is that it's going to be an ongoing series, meaning that when I start a stream and when I end the stream, it will actually make progress. Whereas when I'm just playing Robocraft, obviously there's not really a huge amount of progress made there. So it's kind of like an adventure, almost. And you can also watch me get incredibly stressed. This, of course, is assuming I actually do it, because my concern here is that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon come out on November 17th. So if I was to live stream this on Twitch, because I would like to grow my audience over there, it would get really bogged down by the huge amount of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon live streams. So that's another bit of hesitation I have. I don't really know whether or not I should wait till after the hype dies down for Ultra Sun and Moon, or I should just go for it anyways. So yeah, this is where all of you guys come in. I'm looking for your feedback on everything I've discussed here today, and also any other ideas that you might have floating around in your head. Whether it be new games you'd like to see on the channel, or an idea for a new series you think would be interesting. And it doesn't even have to be on the Robocraft channel. If you are interested in the Pokemon channel and have been watching that for a little while, let me know what you'd like to see over there as well. What are some of the things you would like to see on the channel? Obviously, I'm just kind of gauging what the general feel is of my audience. If you do take the time to comment, it will be greatly appreciated. So a big thank you in advance. But anyways, with all of that out of the way, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you all so very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.